Welcome to your Daily 5 for Wednesday, November 6th, 2024. I don't know exactly when I really started to notice that I was getting irritated at something that used to not bother me at all. But for those of you who spend any amount of time on YouTube or any type of podcasting platform or anywhere where people are creating content and you're consuming media, you will almost inevitably, unless you are doing like direct support or something like that, you're probably going to hear ads of some kind. And ads generally fall into one of two categories: host-read or pre-recorded. And many of you probably already know this, but the difference is host-read is generally somebody reading a piece of copy that they've been supplied, but then varying little bits and pieces to make it seem more personal or to, say, add a personal story. And so it's a little bit more of an organic and what is meant to be a more personal and I don't like using this word because now this is just another marketing term, but a more authentic way of selling something to somebody. So because they assume that you have a degree of trust and reliability in whoever this host is, and therefore when they tell you something, you're more inclined to listen to it than a pre-recorded ad, which is exactly the same thing you've heard if you watch TV, if you listen to the radio, a spot that is already kind of preformed, supplied to whatever the show is, and is then played. But it's not the host reading it, and generally it is a more professional or at least a more packaged kind of spot. Those are the two major types that you encounter. And traditionally, most people have preferred host-read ads over pre-recorded because, again, it's from a voice that you generally like listening to. It's a person that you may have more of a connection to, whether it's a real connection or, our parasocial online connections. But basically, a source you are more inclined to listen to. And the pre-recorded ads were generally seen as lesser or more annoying. And I pretty much fell into that camp for a long time too. But I got to tell you, lately, I've started to go the opposite. Now, I should say there are exceptions. There are still places like Twit.tv that do really good host-read ads where they have not fallen into the trap that places like YouTube and some other platforms have, where there's a running gag on the fact that anything you see on YouTube, inevitably, if they have ads, at some point they're going to be selling you a VPN or a mattress, or let's see, what are the other popular ones? A mobile game, things like that. We've all seen these ads. And the thing that has really started to set my teeth on edge is that they're not even really doing a good job of making it seem like they're not all reading the same ad copy. And I think now I'm really picking up on it in a way that I didn't used to, either because the hosts were putting more effort into trying to personalize the ads, or maybe because there was more diversity in the actual ads themselves, which makes sense that there's less of that because advertising has fallen off a cliff for many different places like podcasting and on YouTube. There's not as many advertisers, so you tend to hear the same ones more frequently now. But that just highlights the fact that you are often hearing the exact same ad with these tiny little variations. But again, even the variations don't really vary all that much. So when you have somebody who's saying, this is the VPN that I really trust, and a year ago they trusted a different VPN, and a year from now they'll trust a different VPN or mattress or have a favorite mobile game, you do start to lose whatever trust there was in that host to begin with in terms of advertising. So honestly, at this point, I just prefer them to put a pre-recorded one because at least I just know what it is and I don't care. And I'll still listen to it, but it actually bothers me more to hear people who are struggling to make ads more personalized because, again, I don't know if it's just because so many of them are now reading the same ad copy or if maybe there's just a weariness on the host's part to actually sell things like this because they know that everybody's selling the same thing and it probably doesn't actually bring in all that much money, but it actually is more irritating in most cases. There, again, are exceptions where it's done very well, but in most cases, at this point, if I hear an ad, I'll be honest, I'd rather just hear a prepackaged 30-second spot that was, obviously done to be just shotgunned all over the place, as opposed to listening to a host kind of struggle to make it sound like they're really sincerely advertising something because there's so many of the same ones, it really just defeats the entire purpose. And so I'd rather just strip away all the artifice. Let's not pretend that this is an ad copy that you're adding to in most cases. And let's just make an ad. Just be honest about it and be upfront. Because honestly, when you try to make it something other than what it is, it just irritates me. Later.